Hey everyone, how are we doing? We're just chilling out here in space. What questions are there to start the day off? It's a rainy day here. Maybe it's not a rainy day where you're at, but who all is here? Starting to bringing back Mubot back to life right here. No, I might rebind Mubot's keys. Oh, might be. While I'm rebinding Mubot's keys right here, what keys could I bind? I don't know. I don't have enough keys. Got to make it like a complicated key press. It's giving away a bunch of points during class today. But you might say that's great. For number one on 474, do you mean just do you mean the string positive or negative? Let's go take a look at number one, 474. 2 seconds here while I get the assignment up and going. If you are here 320, 474, 475, 201, any class, let me know. This is Tuesday's assignment for 474. So here we are, Tuesday's assignment, conditionals. Awesome stuff. Let's get some conditionals downloaded and going here. Okay, here we go. Still got the old date in there. Oh. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to do one thing real quick. Two things. We will take a look. We'll do some nested loops tomorrow. I think that'll help out with this right here. Getting everything going. And insert. But how is everyone doing today? Busy day, busy week. Summer classes. Let me go ahead. Restrict file type are good. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Number one. And let's pull it up right here. I messaged you on Discord this morning to help team project. Any chances you have some time today? Yeah, send me, I think I messaged you back, Ben. Did you see it? I messaged you back. Send me a list. Send me the code and send me what the problem is. That's probably one of the best ways for me to go look through it. Like, make sure I kind of know what's going on with it. Or I might be able to hop on after this. Or I'm also doing the 201 office hours here coming up in a little bit. Yeah, but send me, like, this is what's going on. This is the problem. This is where it's not working. This is what we want to see. And so send me that, and I should be able to take a look and probably be able to figure it out. So yeah, send me that, Ben. Does that make sense, Ben? Good questions right there. Let's go over here to the main screen. 474, question 1, assignment conditionals. Here we go. You're welcome, Ben. Good to see you here, Riley. 474, question 1. So left arrow into num, -20. Set up an if/else statement for the following. Defines a variable x to be positive if num is 0 and negative if num is less than 0. So it's just some classic kind of if-else stuff right here. Defines a variable defines x to be equal to tiny if the number is between -10 and 10. So this is just another way of looking at it, and huge otherwise. So if it's between these numbers. So the big thing you're looking at here is logicals. We'll look at these here in a moment. Defines the number x to be equal to small even if num is an even number from -99 to 99 inclusive and not small even otherwise. So it needs to be, once again, to equal to small even if it's even, and also between -99 and 99 it'll be small even. So for each of these 3 questions, run your code, then print to the screen the contents of x to verify that it is equal to the intended value. We've got some setups right here for how to do it, some basic sort of forms. So do you mean the string positive or negative? Oh yeah, that's what you're saying. So you're saying right here the string, correct. So you'll print to the screen, print to the screen positive or negative. Like let's say we go down here and we go to like value, not the same question, but kind of interpretations of it. And we go here to value and we say value is 30. And I want to see if value is divisible by 10. So if, and we go right here and we do our logical test and we do module, I always have to look for that tab, 10, and I like to have that evaluate, and then we say equals 0. So think about what the code I've just written right here. It's looking to see if the value is equal to 10. Does that make sense? Or divisible by 10, excuse me. It's not seeing if it's equal to 10, it's seeing if it's divisible by 10. Because what does modulo do? Never know how to say that word. It finds the remainder of something when it's equal, the remainder of it when we divide whatever the value is. So all we're doing is 30 divided by 10, finding the remainder. Think about this. What will this code return right here? I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. I want you to think what this code returns to see if something's divisible by 7. And we're just using the actual value right now of 30 instead of the placeholder value, which currently has 30 stored into it. So what will this return right here? Just let me highlight only this portion right here, only this portion return right here, which is checking to see if something's divisible by 7 and finding its remainder. So that code right there is finding the remainder of something to see if it's divisible by 7. I think it'll return 2 because 28's the closest divisible number. So it's not how many times does it go into it, it's what's the remainder. So this code alone, so then we're seeing if the remainder of this, so think about this, when you divide 30 by 7, you would get 7, 14, 21, 28, and then the remainder is 2. So this 2 right here stands for the remainder, as in you'd have to do 28 plus 2, because 28's the whole number. Does that make sense? Like, the remainder is how many times it doesn't go into it. So we'll just change it slightly, and we'll go to, let's do 9. What is this? Just the inner portion of this code. I'll put it down here on the bottom. What will this alone run? Good practice of kind of some basic coding right here. What will 30 modulo 9 do? So it's that basically reads, what is the remainder of 30 when we divide by 9? Like the leftover undividable portion of 30 when you divide by 9. What is the leftover undividable? And then it'd be 3, because 27 is how much we go up to. So really you're just saying here 3 plus 27 is 30, because 27 is a thing that can be divided by 9. It's divisible. And so this is just the leftover. So if we run this right here, we're asking, is it divisible? In this instance, we're saying it's not divisible because there is a remainder. So we're just asking, is the remainder equal to 0? But in this instance, we are getting it is divisible. So this would be something is divisible by 9. So let's go here, and this goes directly to your question trace. We're just going to put here the string like divisible by 9. So this will print to the screen divisible by 9, but it doesn't do anything right now till we do an else to see like not divisible by 9 or something. And I always swear we can do this. It got mad at me today in class. It said no. I'm going to see if it does it. Not divisible by 9. It doesn't like that. We can't do it on the string. I swear I used to do that. Can I move? No way I can move that. Really? Yeah, it doesn't like that. You can, I thought for sure, certain you could go right there. See, that works. Really? Really? It lets me do it right there and extend the code downward. So really, gonna work right there? Okay, why did it not like it previously? I don't know. I like nesting my code and making it look all nice and neat. So you can see that we go inside the if, we run the code, we go inside the else, we run the code. And if we had something like here, like value 30, we could go right here and check the value of 30 and we get not divisible by 9. So now my code's doing the nesting I want. It just makes it look nicer and neater to see, like, we're going to go right here, check this condition. We enter inside of the if function, and then it will run this code if true. And then over here, we have the else connected to it. It needs to be connected. You cannot put this to a next line. That will break it. You can see by the sub-nesting of the code, we've left the if. The else needs to be directly connected to the back of this, which then creates the connection right here. Just saying the problem the group is having. Thanks for you're so welcome. Thank you so much, Ben. And yeah, if we have a moment, if I can't figure it out, I'll take a look. Sometimes it's easier for me to like read through, see what's going on. Like, just helps with the composing of thoughts. And then yeah, so I'll take a look at that. I might take a look at that if we get slow right here. But Trace, how are we looking on this one? Which this is basically the theory behind how to do these if-else questions right here. And we'll probably do we'll probably start tomorrow with like a nested for loop, because we haven't talked about, no, we could do a nested problem. We could take a look at some later problems, but this is the theory behind the ifs and the elses. All this does right here is look at this statement right here, evaluate whether it is true or false. And if it is true, which it's currently going to be the full thing, we want to look at the full condition. This is currently evaluating to false. It'll run the else portion. If it were to evaluate to true, if we have here value 27 or like 45, anything divisible by 9, this will evaluate to true, and then it'll run the code inside of true right here. And that's really the great thing about it. Nested for loop is less than anything else. Is that good or bad? I can't tell. Is it greater than or less than? Here we'll take a look, Ben. Here we'll cut, and feel free to ask more questions. Let me look at Ben's code and see if I can answer that. Okay, I'm putting a little chill music right here. My classic chill music, relax and drinking some coffee. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at Ben's code right here. Ask questions in chat if you got them. Okay, Ben says, Ben, can you send me the RMD? Send me the RMD, Ben. Ooh, I like that time series. Looks like you're using a Plotly object. I think you are. You are using Plotly. You can throw in GG, or you throw in ggplot. Yeah, you're in ggplot. This is the code output. The app only plots stock 1, which is a vector of 15 stocks. Oh, so you have a vector of 15 stocks. Where's stock 1? Dplyr stock 1. There, you give me the app. Let me take a look at this. Ask questions in the chat if you have them right now. Ooh, I like all the packages. I got to install some new package. GG Fortified, GG Pub R, and R. I don't have R apparently. R.utilities. Okay, let's install all these. Awesome R does that for you now. If you have questions in the chat, please ask. Hey, Kayla, what's happening? I might be able to solve this. I'll see. Ooh, this is a big code. Okay, so let me see what you're doing. You're getting your volatile stocks. You're making a data frame of your volatile stocks. You got the update select inputter. You got a select inputter. And you're selecting the choices. Okay, let me run this. Let's see what happens. Most of the code we don't need yet has probably got a bunch of my other code. You might want to delete that out. Because I think you've got the X and the Y inputs. Oh my gosh, this is looking amazing. Let me decrease font size here. This is looking top tier. I have a moment. If I can't solve it here. So what is the goal again? Check out the summary on the app. It's very cool. Oh my gosh. Whoa, yeah, you totally. And these are interactive, right? Because you use the way of getting it to grab it to put it into the RMD. I'm guessing you made an RMD file, or you're making it. This is awesome. This is totally what we're looking for right here. For loop. For looping through it. Revenue outcome. Okay, so I see the revenue outcome has an error. This is looking absolutely amazing. This is exactly what I wanted people to come up with here. This is, I mean, don't worry about, I probably got the wrong instructions page. Because I'm looking at an influence plot app instruction page. Let me take another moment right here. Let me see. Okay, so you said that this is the code for our plots. The app only plots stock 1, which is a vector of 15 stocks. So which page are you worried about right now? I see the revenue outcome is not plotting. The stock ticker. Oh, the ticker comparison is having the problem, is it? Is your ticker comparison having a problem? I think it is. You want to compare two stocks, right? I think I can get this solved during... I might solve this real quick right here. So it looks like you want to compare two stocks, right? So you want to take stock 1, stock 2, compare them. Whatever input select someone takes. They've got a safe stock, which I like, and you got a volatile stock. And you can be like, if you pick this safe stock, this is what would happen. If you pick this volatile stock, this is what would happen. I really like the what if scenario. I think I can get this fixed up right here, right now. I don't want to show off too much of like group code, but the white noise. So I've gone through and compiled a bunch of codes. The code I'm taking, I'll show on the main screen. If you go through the notes, if you go to the stocks, this code right here is the code you're going to want. It's really small on the screen right here. I'll go and do this and I'll send it back to you. But I think this code right here is going to get the job done for us. Because this code will create this sort of output. Let me just confirm, Ben, real quick. Would you want a stock like this with two stocks on the screen? Like, is this what you want? You want like output like this that appears that shows your two stocks? Like, do you want both stocks appearing in this? Like, I'll check it out. Let me see. I'll see if I can get it working. I'll try to put that code in here and put it under the render plotly. I should be able to find where things are at. But is this what you want? Just okay, good. Just confirming this is what you want before I try to put it in there. Okay, so for anyone trying to do something like this code right here is going to work. It's got a bunch of extra stuff in it right now, so it's got multiple stocks. You just need to remove out a bunch of these, and then okay, so we're removing out the multi-stocks, and it might be hard to see at this small font, but it's just two stocks right here. But we're gonna have to go and grab this kind of stuff here. We're gonna have to grab what stocks we're using. So I'm gonna hop back here to space and see if I can fix this up right here. We're just gonna, it's the function is the melt function, the melt argument rather, the fortify and the melt, and that kind of melts two graphics together into like one. So yeah, it's pretty neat what Dplyr can do. So we're basically combining plots into one. So this is your ticker comparison page. Let me go find that. Okay, I got your ticker comparison page. It's plotly output tick. Okay, so you're currently doing a plotly output. Let me go to that. I'm just searching through your code right now, finding... Oh, nice notes. A+ job on the notes. Compares the stock tickers. Okay, so output tick, render plotly. Oh, okay, this is going to be fun here. Okay, you got your stock 1, stock 2. Okay, I think the issue... I think the issue is you need to reactively create these stocks. So I see part of the issue right here is you're not reactively creating the stock objects. So you need, and I see you still got the X and the Y. I don't know. It does. If you got excess code, that's not the end of the world. We need to create a reactive stock issue, a reactive stock. Yeah, here. I wish I could show you this. Yeah, you need a reactive object. Get symbols. Oh, you're putting the input choices there. Your input choices need to be taken as reactive objects. So it's going to take a moment right here, I think. We'll see. Ask questions if you got it. So I'm going to see if I can fix this. It looks like we need to take... No, the input choice should work. We just need to reactively create this stock object. 2 seconds. I think I can do this. It's chill office hours. I don't want to show off like everyone's codes. We need to reactively create our stock object. It's thundering outside. Yeah. Okay. Reactively create that stock object. Here we go. And the reactive creation of the stock object is going to go down in the server. Okay, let's go down here and reactively create our stock object. I don't think you have react. Oh, wait, no, you got it. You got a reactive. Sorry, Ben, I'm going through your code. Yeah, I know, right? So you've got your reactive data and your data frame. So you've got your reactive data. Update selector. But then you're returning it as a okay, good, yeah. And then you're storing it into data. Okay, no, this looks right. Okay, so you do have a reactive data object. Okay. So down here, you need to be referencing the reactive data object. I wish you could be seeing this. I'm on line 115 of your code. So let me look at the reactive data object again and see what's created inside of it. Your reactive data object, we stored when you're creating a data frame, okay. I see it. Okay, so you got the save. Okay, I see it. This is going to be interesting. You might create 2 reactive data objects. If you have questions, let me know in the chat. You might create 2 reactive data frame objects. It looks like this is working though. Don't change this around. We just need to access. Let me see where you're accessing this elsewhere. Because you should be probably accessing it elsewhere to get all your inputs. Oh, you're not. Your reactive data. Okay, there's your reactive data. Stock, TF, reactive. Here we go. Okay. We spent a lot of time last night to get it to run, so I'm nervous to change things. Yeah, just keep the saved version. Keep like a working version. Like, I feel like this is really close. What you need to do is you've got your... Well, you just need to use the reactive choices. You're already using the reactive choices. Okay, I think I see it. I might be able to... There's a shot. I've got a shot at this. It might be something small. Because you've changed... Let's wait. Choice 1, choice 2. Okay, you do have it. There's a lot of similarities to the code I've written. I mean, because, you know, we're using a lot of Brian's base code. Okay, I might have broke it. Did I break it? I didn't break it yet. Ticker in comparison, okay, good. Is undefined columns. That's, okay. So I broke it a little bit, but that's not the end of the world. Is it breaking over here? Okay, that's not breaking good. If you have questions, let me know in the chat. I'm just kind of working on Ben's code right here, just listening to a little music. Render plotly. Oh, no, we already have the symbols there. So what you've already... See, the thing is, you've already downloaded the symbols on line... You created your reactive data frame. On line 40, you created the reactive data frame. And So you've got this right here. Let me look at where you're putting that output. Yeah, definitely. This is really great right here. I wish I could show it all. I just don't want to. And then you're grabbing it with the %S and the %F. Those are really good right there. The what is that called again? The printf. Yeah, the printf is really good. I don't use that nearly enough. It's a really good way of doing things to print stuff out, to go grab those items you've created. Okay, wait. So it's interesting. You're regrabbing the data multiple times, it looks like, and then you're using last year period, which is fine. Because in a lot of these, you're going back and regrabbing the data, it looks like. Okay, because that's what you're doing down here with the render print, is you're regrabbing the data. And so that code worked where you regrab the data in the render print. Line 45 is a save vector, but it does not plot. Well, line 45 is saving the data frame, right? That's up there. Line 45 is creating the vector. So you're creating a reactive data frame, and you're merging your data frame on line 49 into a data frame. And I think that could be part of the issue. Wait, so that's creating a reactive vector of names, reactive vector of, or vector of names, vector of names. And then, and this is not grabbing the data right here. This is just creating the choices. And then you're going and grabbing it later on because you have to call the grab from the quantmod package. So the get symbols down here. So maybe let me just try this. So what we'll do first right here. So I'm gonna delete a bunch of stuff. Oh, you've got the plots. Oh. That's a big code. Always try to get little bits. This is, yeah. So, and keep asking those questions if you have it, as I just play a little more music here and just chill. I'm gonna delete out a whole bunch of stuff. Keep a saved format of what you got. Okay. Let me put here. Okay, I think I'll try a few things. I might be able to get some to work here. I'm hoping. Okay. Cross your fingers. Okay. I'm deleting a lot of code. Okay, that's where that ends. Always start small. Don't start big. Let's get the smallest of things to work. I'm deleting a whole bunch of code. You'd be like, no, don't delete my code. Don't delete it. Little bits. Okay. So that should be stock one. Cross your fingers, everybody. We're in for a bumpy road. It's mad. It's not getting the data. Should be working if we've got... Let me grab this code right here. If you have questions, ask it. We're just chilling out here in office hours right now. Okay, let me do this. I'm going to put a cheat up here in the code. I'm going to show you what I'm doing real quick. Trying to work with your reactive objects right now. I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to download the Pepsi symbol. It's just what I work with. I like the Pepsi stock. So that is going to, and I think I called this test. So I'm using this as a test because I just want to make the graphic work. So here's one thing you can do is put this outside of the, does this make sense here, Ben? I'm going to put this outside of everything I'm working with right now. So then later on, here, I'm going to go back to the full screen right here. I'm just trying to get it to plot, just trying to get it to do its thing. And then down here in the code, and I'll show you right here, I'm just going to, it should work. I think it should work now. Let's see if it's liking it. Ooh, what's it? Ticker comparison's getting mad. Undefined column selected. I thought I reran it. Let me check to see if I have this currently as the thing. That's, oh, I know why. I need to put... Ooh! Oh, yeah, auto assign false. You got that. Yeah, you got to have the auto assign false. Auto plot should not be. Should be. Let me check what's going on here. Oh, did I not call it stock test? Stock test, did I not run it? Let me run it again. Okay, that is, oh, wow. Oh, cool. Okay, so that is doing this right here. Let me see right here. If you have questions, let me know. Yeah, it's sometimes you just get stuck right here. I feel like I'm really close to this right now. I feel like just a little bit and we're almost there. Okay. I'm getting it so the code will work on other things right here. I'm just getting the code to work outside of it right now. So I'm getting the code to work on something right now. And then I'm going to try to make it work down there. So I'm just getting it to work up here. And then I'm going to try to bring that code to have it reactively working down there. And then I'm going to try to get the two stocks. So I'm getting the one stock to work right now. I just got to figure out how you're saving them and where they're allocated at in the, when the data is brought in. So let me get this to work. That's the most important thing. So let's go down here. Let's get the auto plot working. Auto plot roll out. That's the hardest thing, is like understanding someone else's code and being like, okay, what's going on here with this? Okay, stock test. Let's go right here. It should be grabbing the stock test. For 2B, when you state category variable, would just mean if the variable has like yes or no? I believe so. Let me double check, Trace. Thank you, Trace. Great question right there. Do we mean a categorical variable? 2B. Use if else to create a categorical variable. Make sure to turn it into a factor. So make sure, so Trace right there, factor. Turn it into a factor. Great job, Trace. Keep asking those questions. I feel like I'm getting somewhere with this. Getting really close, I feel like. Close to doing something I want it to do. Let me just make sure the plot is working. Like, if it's not working with something complex, you just go way more basic. Like, you just go as basic as possible. So, oh, that's not a plotly object. I think that's why it's mad, actually. That's not a plotly. Render plot. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm not that dumb. And then let me go here to, because we're looking at the ticker comparison, plot output. Okay, let me try this now. Undefined columns. It's totally mad. Okay. Let's just make it do as basic as possible stuff. And then we will worry about that. Okay. If this doesn't work, something's really disconnected. Oh, something's really disconnected. What is it mad about? Render plot. I'm hitting very basic of problems right here. It's really mad about... Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, so it was mad about that code. Okay, okay. We got something going here. We got something going here. Okay. We have a plot. You've already gotten those symbols, right? So it should be stored somewhere. Okay, we're getting closer. Get ready to see something appear now. We're about to see something on the screen now, I hope. The answer is, do we see something now? I'll show you in a second. Okay. So, good news. We got something on the screen right here. It's not changing the plot for what we have right here. We're about to make it work with the inputs. So we're one step further in. So we got the plots appearing. Got like that. Let's go ahead here. We need the reactive inputs on those now. So let's go find out where your reactive inputs are for your choices. So I think that's where the part of the problems are. Okay. Yes, awesome. Yeah, no, I think I've seen so many cool creations from what people have been doing. Like, so much hard work on this. That's why I'm always happy. Do both the sake. Yeah, do it on the one plot. That's my goal right here. First off, I wanted to make sure it was plotting on that page, get everything connected via plots, and then we'll take and put both plots together. We'll worry about the page working. I think you might have sent it to me with a working page, and I broke it. I'll just break everything. So you've got your reactive object, and you've got your stocks down here. Let me see where. So you're doing a render print down there, and the render print's happy with that. So render print's right here. Input choice 1. Let's just go ahead and go this shot right here. And we're getting closer. If this works, we'll be very happy. That's what I thought. But you have a reactive object on it. It needs to be reactively grabbing. You know what we might need to do? Because you currently have the choice. I don't know if you've stored it yet. I think I need to go store it. So, okay. Give me a second. Okay. Store stock 1. Store stock 1. I'm creating a reactive input for your stock storage. You called it input choice 1. So we're just going to plot your first stock here first. That's all we're doing is plotting your first stock. You're doing 20. Let me grab your dates again. Okay, here's your to and from. You're doing just the last year of data. We're getting somewhere. Okay, there's the last year of data. Auto assign equals false. This is reactive object. Let's call this stock 1, reactive object stop 1. So now we should get, go down here, stock 1, reactive object. Don't fail me now. It's mad. Object of type reactive. Oh, because I didn't put the reactive around it. Gosh. Okay, I didn't put the reactive around it. Aha! Now, let's take a look. Here's where we're at right now, and this should be the first stock. What do you notice? What do you notice about this? I mean, this alone is kind of interesting. Now, please note, and I'm going to probably send this back to you with a little bit of work. I'm going to get, well, I guess I got to change some stuff. But this is reactively changing on the stock right now. Does that make sense with all these stock tickers you have? Does this make sense right here, Ben? You can see the lows, the highs. It's a little too much on the screen. A little too much right here. Yeah, I think this is cool right here. So we've got the reactive connected. Do I have your permission, Ben, just to show a little bit on this? Do I have your permission just to show how I did this? I'll be sending this back to you. So if other groups are wondering about this, it's probably be a little bit of help. I have your permission. Thank you so much, Ben. So what I did right here is I went and made a reactive object. So this is going and looking at your input choice and running the get symbols code, creating the reactive stock object. And I deleted all your plot stuff inside of there. That's why I was like, I'm deleting all this out. I'm just going to start from scratch inside of here. So we could turn this into a plotly too pretty quickly. I'm just using render plot as a basic option, but I'm using the auto plot because it's really nice and easy to work with. But the reactive object is taking the dates you're interested in, and then it's going and grabbing this. Now, here's where I'm going to be. I think if I go right here, I can get just the close. Double check your numbers on this. But I think the 4th is the close. I might break it. Once again, I'm always coding these little bits. I've been running your thing about a billion times, and now we just have the close. So you might want to add titles to this and all that good stuff, or plot it with a different thing. But now we've got the close, and I think we're right where we need to be. So what we need to do now is we need to create a second reactive stock object right here. So we're just going to take our reactive object that we have. There's stock 1. Let's put in here reactive object. We'll put some nice notes in your code. Showing other people how to get the reactive stock object, which is a pretty big thing to figure out how to do. There's the reactive stock object 2. Some group is probably just like, we spent hours trying to do this. I'm like, well, just ask. I'll help out. It's like, hey, Brian, we can't get this. We'll figure it out. Okay, so we need to change this, and then it should be pretty easy. There's only one other thing to change in the code. What else do you think I'm going to change right here, Ben? Just debugging this code right here. The auto assign is false because it'll assign to the global environment with the auto assign equal true. With the auto assign equals false, we are storing into stock 2. Yeah, no, you can spend hours. I mean, don't worry. Like, you look at something that takes me 20 minutes, it'll take people hours then, multiple people out. I mean, not saying it'll take anybody hours, but I teach the class for a reason. It's because I have more experience coding, so I would expect my students to take longer than me, and you have to struggle with these things sometimes. And then when you see the answers, you have a spot in your head to be like, oh, that's how it works. And there's only one change we need to make to this now. Big brain. That's how we do it. It's through helping students I learn. I was not you should have seen me 5-6 years ago. I would have looked at this and said, this is a mess. I don't know what's going on. practice. And I try to have people like work harder at it. It's tough. It's tough. It's like when you're working out and you're on that last and you're like, oh my gosh. That's how I work out. You just lift the weight as quickly as you can. That's how you work out. The faster you lift the weight, the faster your muscles grow. Don't do that. Focus. So we need to change this to option 2. Does that make sense? This is taking your input choice from the UI. Exactly. We're going to change this to option 2. And we can confirm that this is working. We might just do a little confirmation down here and here to make sure it's working. We're going to rerun our code again, make sure nothing's broken. Once again, we're always coding in these little bits. Always coding those little bits. Don't try to code everything all out at one time. So we should see GM over here at the ticker comparison. This is GM. We can confirm by doing this, and we are changing. We're just seeing one column. Whoa, look at that SPI. What was that? Man, you'd have made some money in that volatile stock right there. You'd have gotten rich for a day, and then you'd still be wealthy. But man, that went from like $1 to like $14. Man, I want to time travel and put all my money in that stock. Be like, this week I have $10,000. Next week I have $200,000. Big brain. So we're probably pretty good. We're gonna go over to the white noise. We're gonna grab this ggplot object right here. Look at the SPI summary. Oh, I don't want to show too much of your code. I don't want to show too much. Like, I think it's so good because I don't want to ever, like, I'll look at it here in a moment. Oh, wait, here, I'll secretly look at it. Let me go look at the summary of it. I want to show little bits, but I don't want to show too much. I want to be like, hey, because I want everyone to do like an original thing. And I've seen so much individuals. And I like hearing that. I like being like, oh, go look at the summary of that. Okay, wait. At the beginning of the recorded period, SPI was worth $1.83. At the end of the period, SPI was $7.89. SPI has demonstrated an increase of 6.06 to its stock price. This represents a 331.15% increase in its stock price. This causes a 10,000 portfolio to be worth $43,000. Holy mackerel, that's super cool. I really like this summary page of your comparison of choosing to buy like Google, which you'd have made 29,000. You'd have made 29% on Google last year. GME, you'd have made 200% on your money, 12% on that volatile stock. Ooh, negative 43%. You can't always win, right? 136% on your money, negative 43. I think it's the same one I clicked. 7%. They're not all big winners. It'd be interesting to look at it like all of them, right? To look at the series. But yeah, let's do a comparison now. So I've got the code from the slide. And I'm going to work on just inputting this code into this area right here with the render plot. Here, let's go take a look at that. I'll show this code. Since you say I can show parse your code. So we've got the render plot working. So I'm just going to leave that there for the second. We're using a ggplotly. So, and it's mad about something. Oh, watch, when you copy code, you can hit these issues. Be very careful. A parentheses sometimes doesn't copy properly. I just don't know its character differences. So it was mad. I'll just show it again. This parentheses did not close. You can tell by the color of the text. It's reading this as an object, as two objects. It's super mad about that. We need to turn this back into a word, and the X's go away, so we're good. We have this ggplotly object inside of here, and it should be grabbing the index and the value. We've got the mapping right there, which I think it can take from that. Here is the stock ticker right here, and this is the object we are using. Now, the color is going to be a little bit of an issue, which I might let people work with. So we should have our inputs. And I think we can just take this object right here. And let's go here and put this as stock 2. For 2C, do you think you could do any if else? Or it could be done if? Yeah, let's take a look at that next right here. I bet you could. If you feel like you did the work and the grader counted off, let me know. Like if they didn't give you full points. So that's a render plot. We could just put it to the ggplot right now and then worry about the ggplotly later. Because we can't, it needs to be in a render plotly. We'll just worry about this as is right now. And then we'll put it inside of a render plotly if we want. We did some small changes right there. Let's cross our fingers, see if everything works. And does it work? There you go. Is it reactive? Does it change? Look at that. Ooh, a new stock right there. SPI compared to it. We are getting the huge scale for some of these stocks that have been around a long time. You see like a difference of a scale, but that's all right. You might work on making the lines bigger or changing things. Oh, Pepsi. Oh, thank you so much, including Pepsi in there. Classic, kind of good stock right there. But you can see, I'm trying to find one that is up. Ooh, that's a tiny, tiny stock, little baby stock right there. Oh, look at that volatility on NRXP. You got rich at the end of last year, start of this year. But I think this is what you're looking for? Stay up till 2 a.m. No worries, just email me. Just say, hey Brian, we're stuck. It's not working. But we just had to, and if you watch the process of how I was getting this to work right here, first get a plot on the screen, then get something in the plot, then get something you want in the plot, then adjust it to something you want. You have to go in those little steps. Don't try coding the whole thing. Don't try getting the whole thing to work at once. It worked a lot. I just stripped it. I just took a car apart, and I was like, okay, we're going back to the basics here. We're gonna get a plot on the screen, then we're gonna get something in the plot, then we're gonna put the thing we want in the plot, and then we're gonna adjust it to how we want it. So it's all about just, you have to have a goal. And I think that's one of the best things about like learning how to code is you have to like do it in a structure. You can't run to the finish line. No, but great job, Ben. That's why I wanted to help out with this. I'm going to send this back to you. I think you sent it to me on Discord, did you? So I'll send this back to you on Discord. You can mess around with it. You can work around with it. Right now, it does say MST and PEP. So I'm going to leave that little quandary in there for you to think about how to change this so that it's not going to say MST and PEP. Because right now, this is not correct, but we're pretty far along the way. Yeah, thank you. Well, Ben, great job and excellent work. Really great practice on this. So this is way further along right now and has the graphic you're looking for. So let's go look at Trace's question right here.
Like TV from other dimensions.
Great job, everybody. Excellent work. A little chill music. But no, excellent work right there. Let me save this. I'm going to call it version 2. Call your old one like something else. So stock app V2. And let's go grab that. And yeah, it's just practice. And it's a lot of copy pasting of code. Like you just got to know what your code does. You got to know which code you need. So I'm going to drop this over here. Here's stock app version 2 with the update in it. Upload it right here. So there you go. It took a little bit of work. That took a good 30 minutes right there to get it done. So if you look, it takes me 30 minutes to get that all fixed up. It takes a while. It's not the quickest of things, especially when you're learning it. So, I didn't add that much code, but if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It explodes. The most frustrating thing is when your code doesn't work, but the most amazing thing is when your code works. For 2C, do you think you could do? Well, yeah, and it becomes that, and then you'll start to get quicker as time goes on. Let's go look at 2C for 474. Using a for loop and if statements create a categorical variable. Yes, I would totally accept using if else right here, Trace. So using the ifs and the elses, sure, you can do it with an if else. Please tell me if the grader takes off points. I'll give you points back. What you need to do is you're looking at the exclamation marks. Let me go look at this vector. This is inside of, nope, which is inside the churn, isn't it? Not inside the churn. Where's that? Junk. It's inside the junk data set. It's junk email. So inside the junk data set, we have the vector exclamation, and we want to know how many exclamation points. I think it's like the percent of exclamation points basically based on the whole email. Like what percent of exclamation points were there in the email? And you can see right here, we can tell about how many exclamation points there were to kind of identify something as a junk email. Like someone's like, you win! And there's a bunch of exclamation points. Probably junk email. Probably. Higher probability. So when we look at this right here, we first want to evaluate if it has no junk emails. So we go here to the vector, and we go to if, and we go right here, and junk email equals 0. And we are then going to run the code and say none. And it doesn't do it right now because it's only doing it on one observation because you don't put a vector inside of here. And there we go. But, and I don't want to go too much into detail on this. I don't want to do the full thing. But think right here, what do we need after this trace? What would we need after this? Because what do you do when you write a for loop? You get it to work on one instance. This is very similar to what we were doing in class today. We did a few examples like this in class today, where we got to work on one instance and then we for looped it inside of there. And I'll accept the if else version of it too. Just tell me if the grader is mean on it. So what should we do here next? Since we have the if, what should we put to it if that's not true? I'm trying to think. You could You need to store this too. You could do else. Yep, we'll do an else on this. And then the issue becomes, inside of this else, we actually need an if. So, because we can nest even further. So we can go here to if and do the next one and do a condition inside of here. But I did 3 statements. So you only actually need 2 checks, because if it is 0, do this. If it's less than, or then inside of this else, if it's less than 20, do this. And then you just need one more else at the end of it. Like the structure of this one could simply be, after this, we put another else right here, which will run the third option. I'm just going to put here third option. Because right here, we would need a logical check. And actually, we need some brackets on this. And so here's kind of the structure for this. And that should be good right there. It's all mad about this. Ooh, it's not liking the way I'm doing that. If else, go inside the else right there. Here's the if, go inside of this. And it's mad about, oh, it's just mad about the condition. True. Don't put true right there. But there's the condition. If true, run this. And the code right here will be second option. And if you notice, we're checking the first observation. And if true, run the second option. So this should run. Okay, it runs. And we want to store this into something. Now from here, we have something that works on one observation in the vector. Does that make sense? And you can see down here, there's some advice on how to do this right here. So we need to just check the ith observation, which kind of comes up here and talks about this code and what it's doing. So we don't want to just store right here. We want to store into the first element. And now the first element of store, which we probably need to create store before we write into it. The first element of store will be this. But when we use a for loop, we use a placeholder. And we're not really going to see the options appear right here. I haven't written the full thing, but I've kind of going through the theory on this. Right here, we've got store, and it says none. And I'm hoping we start to see, let me look at the vector. It'll be on the third one, we'll see it. So if you go right here and you run I equals 2, it's going to store on the second position none. But we're not going to get the what we want right here. But we will see in the storage vector, we do see second option. Now, I haven't written the logic to create the second option. You'll need to look up here to think about the logic for this and how to get low and do certain things. Now, you might say, well, do I need to include that it's greater than 0 or less than 20, less than 0.20? You only need to include one of those because we've already checked to see if it's 0, so it can't be 0, and it can't be negative. So there's a quick way of checking this one because it just has to be less than 0.20 for those listening. That's all you have to check. And so once you check that, you don't need a third condition because either it's 0, it's less than 20, else do this. Does that make sense there, Trace? Like either it's 0, then if it's not, we'll say, well, is it less than 20? And if it's not less than 20, well, then we'll just do the third option. It doesn't matter what it is because it wasn't 0, it wasn't less than 20. Okay, then do the third option. We're not going to do a logical check then to see if it's greater than this. It's just, it has to be the other option because it can't be negative. It's either 0, less than 20, then just do the third option. So I think that's one of the key things people usually go a little too in depth on this one is they do another nesting of like a condition. They might do like if this, do this, else if this, do this, else if this, do this. But you really can just go into the final else and just be like, if it's this, do this. If it's this, do this. Else do this. And yeah, so we get right here the nested. But the much easier way of doing this is with the nesting of the if else. And I'll kind of show a vector right here of like a vector 1 through 100 where we're doing a very similar type question. And this is the easier way. I will accept this. Please tell me if the grade takes off points. But when you think about if else's, which will check a vector for you and you don't need the for loop, you could just go right here. If x is less than 10, then you could say small. And you could go right here in the false statement and say if else. And this is what happens when it's false. You could say x is less than 50. You could say medium. I close that off. Oops. You could say here medium. And here you could say large. And it's mad about, I have not closed the last bit. And now you can look what we've done. And it should look a little bit like consistent with what you would expect because all we're doing is going If something is less than 10, print small. It'll go into the false statement here, which is this portion of the code. And the false statement looks to see if x is less than 50, and it prints medium. And so it goes up to 49 right here. And we're just doing a for loop over this. This could be achieved with the same goal by doing, and this is the point of the question, if you go if x position 1 is less than 50, is like the long way of doing it, then print small, else, and then we're going to go inside this else here. We're going to write if x position 1 is, less than 50. This is the less than 50. Less than 10, then print medium. This will print. And then we can go here to the final else. And we don't need to do a condition. We can just say large. So it's going to print small right there. But then we need to take this code and go in here and do a for loop on it to achieve the same goal and use position I. And this will print. This won't store right now. I stored earlier. But we're going to go here 1 through the length of x. And we should get, it didn't print anything. So we probably need, I think we can throw this all inside of a print. You going to work? You going to be happy? You going to be mad at me? What are you going to do? Ooh, that's not good. Oh, I know why. Ha ha ha. Why did it not work? And this is printing. It's just doing it. It didn't work because I didn't change the placeholder. It didn't change. It only used 1. So there we go right there. There it is working, printing the small, medium, large. Doing it in a bit of a different way, but achieving the same goal as kind of rewriting a vector as we did previous. The for looping way is just much harder, more work intensive. Exactly, Kale. Excellent work. I totally forgot to change my placeholder. It was still just running 1 every time. I didn't put the placeholder into the vector position. You could store this then if you wanted, just like we did previously, where we had this up here storing into something, doing the if else, storing into. And always try to make your code look a little bit nice with the nested. It looks way nicer if we don't. It doesn't look, I wish it would nest it. It'll nest it a little bit more if I do this. Perfect. You can actually go here and re-indent codes. If you go to code, re-indent lines, it'll do a re-indentation of it. So you can kind of see as you go inward towards your code and outwards out of the loops. Helps you just re-indent codes to kind of see what's going on, that you're inside of your else statement right here. Like you go inside of the for loop, you go inside of the if, you're inside of an else now. So you're kind of like deeper inside of an if else, and then you're leaving right here this if, you're leaving right here this else. So maybe a dumb question, but after I got my CSV to convert to a time series, I forgot how to use the data uploader to turn it into an app. So, well, the data uploader is going to be for you to read in your CSV file. So using the read in, it's going to read in the file, and then just start out small. Just have it do a summary of your time series. Here, we'll change moments right here. So this is talking about I'm going to pause from here for a second so I can find this later in the video. This is talking about the personal project in 475, the personal project. Let's talk a little bit about that right here. Music, chill music. Here we go. Let's go talk about the personal project. Okay, so the first thing I would do if I'm working on the personal project, 1, watch today's video. We talked about that a good bit today. 2 is make sure you're trying to do these little bits where you just take a time series. And maybe you got your time series here. You could make sure you're just working with a time series here. That's how you load that time series. That's in library forecast. Kind of doing this backwards. But you need to load library forecast, not for each, forecast. And then you have access to the Johnson & Johnson data frame, which is just a time series. Make sure you understand that this is where I made a mistake at the end of 474. I was working with the wrong class. You need to make sure certain objects have certain classes, which means it's just the way R sees it. And just to show you, in 474 today, this is Untitled 3. In 474 today, I couldn't get my accuracy function to work because I didn't have it saved as a forecast. So I actually fixed it right here by taking what I was using, taking the auto arima, which I was using, saving it as a forecast, and check it out. The function now works because it's a forecast. Because the accuracy function, when I just went and was like, what's going wrong? This was working when I was using it. I was like, oh, it takes a forecast object, and the auto arima doesn't output a forecast object until you run the fit of the auto arima through the forecast function. You then get a forecast object. So accuracy needs a forecast object, And then it takes the data frame you've held out right here to test all the metrics. And this is horrible. This is bad. We don't want this where it does way worse on this is an overfit model. This is like the literal definition of overfitting. Bad model. So once again, make sure you know what you're working with. Like check the object, because even I'll run into these mistakes at the end of class. I'll be like, why is it not working? Feeding the wrong object. So probably the first thing you want to do is make sure you're working with the time series object. You just want to go create some of these time series plots or something. Time series plot's a great plot to just get a quick and simple time series. So is autoplot. Autoplots roll out. And you can see what you're getting right here just by looking at your autoplot or your time series. So start working with this right here and then think about the basics. Think about the basics. You want to load in a CSV file. So if you want to load in a CSV file, make sure you have a CSV file. So let's go ahead and write this Johnson & Johnson data set to our computer. We're just going to call it jnj2.csv. Now this will write the jnj2 file to our computer. So when you go to the file loader, the app loader, whatever we're calling it, like the app loader, you can then browse your computer and load in this CSV file. Does that make sense here, Hayden? Like now this is on your computer. That'd be nice. There's just, like just think this is for you. This is something you're going to use later on to analyze your time series, because maybe 5 years from now, you have to do a time series for your company or something, or you're like, hey, I got to do a time series. If you could go to your notebooks and be like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? But if you have an app that you put instructions into and you're like, first do this, you're then like just pulling up all your code. You don't have to worry about recoding it. I mean, hopefully maybe you're better at coding at that point, but you're welcome, Trace. Excellent work. But the goal of this is like you're creating something that when you do time series later in life, you could just take your data, drop it right in and be like, cool, let me look at my ARIMA models. Let me look at the summary of these models. Let me choose my best model. Okay, here's the model I'm going to use. And here's my metrics for the model. Here how it does on the holdout data. And so on the next set of stuff, we're going to look more at training, but you're going to need model metrics in this. You're going to need model comparison metrics. So we're going to look more at training and holdout and making sure you kind of, because you could easily set a holdout window. You could just tell it to remove the tail of the last. You could do that. You could set your window for your training data. So we could have it set a window for our training data. So we could say train it on this amount of the data right here, like for certain windows. Does that make sense, Kayla? So for later on in life, you just say like, I want to do some time series. Let me pull up my app I created. Got an app for that. Someone says, we got to analyze this data. You say, okay, sure. Let me just drop it in. Okay, here we go. Here's the autocorrelation. Here's all this. And they're like, wait, I thought this would take like a week to do. And you're like, no, I got the thing that does it for me that I created. I created it in college. Still using it to this day, I would hope. So that's my goal, is you have something to take out of this class. Not, like, oh, I did time series forever ago and I don't know where my book's at and I'm reading right through this. You're going to write your own notes. So I think Hayden's on. Any more questions about the app you're creating, what you're working on right here? Is it time for Monday? I'm going to go to sports. So I hope that's making sense. And I'm hoping people are excited about this, because what I've seen people do, I'm really excited about, because I've seen a lot of really great stuff so far. 4 people watching, I'll take it. 1 hour till 2:01. I'm gonna need some lunch here in a moment. Have you done the Shiny course in Data Camp? I've done a good bit of it. They've got like 2 Shiny courses. One's done by, I'm trying to remember her name, but I've probably done like 66% if you combine 2 courses together. But you were saying how great it is. So I really should go through and do it. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I started to get really deep into it, and I'm just like, man, these are like, I was like, it just goes so big. Yeah, so Kayla, if you've gone through that and you understand it, I was running out of time, like, I think I've done like, I don't think how many courses I've done total. I've been going through their time series stuff and looking through it. My goal with this course especially is to use some of the latest stuff, not to be teaching things. Since you know Dplyr, yeah, exactly. They do a lot of piping. The piping option in Dplyr. Let's do a little tiny Dplyr and then we'll head off to lunch here. Little Dplyr here, talk about Dplyr and how Dplyr works. Great package right there. And I think that's the issue, is you'll see a lot of these things, and then you'll be like, wait, I don't know how this works, and then it becomes confusing. The Dplyr person is tripping up so much. Yeah, Dplyr is really good. A lot of people say it's one of their top favorite packages. And this is, as it says right there, data manipulation. Just allows us to work easier with data. So what we should be able to do, let's try this. I know a lot of the basic Dplyr stuff. I don't use it nearly enough. What we should be able to do is we should be able to take a vector like height. We should be able to pass it through the function mean. There you go. It works the same way right here as going survey, going mean, survey 10, and $height. So it's kind of just passing it through into that object and using it. So you can also sub-indent right here. So we can do a little nesting. And let's say we were to take... Let's say we take survey 10. There's better ways of doing this. I'm just trying to not use some of the Dplyr classic functions. I'm trying to use classic R functions for this for the moment. We take this right here and we Dplyr it with the pipe option, which just basically passes it through. It's percent greater than percent. That's a pipe. It's like a Mario pipe it's passing through. And we go here to subset. So it should use that as it. This is where I get a little bit just confused on my Dplyr knowledge. It's going to use it as the subset. So I'm assuming it's going to throw it into the first argument right there. And let's go here and go to gender equals. There's just better ways. I'm trying to not use the filter. I should use filter argument for this. We'll see what it does. We will see what this does. Does it work? It worked. So now right here, we can pass that through the subset, not the filter. I mean, we probably should filter. That's what Dplyr has a native filter option. Yeah, filter is way better. Like filter just, it makes more logical sense. And then we can go here to the mean of, and then we want to go here. See, now that we're here, we're just, see, now we want to do summarize, which it's going to be better if we just go here to summarize. And I'm just wondering, what's this going to do? See, it's mad because the data frame has categorical variables. So what we want to, it's just, it gets really interesting. You really want to use some of the native functions right here. Yeah, I think we just have to go more of the what they want you to use. You want to go here at filter. And so you can see filter, it's saying Plotly uses it, but we just want to go here. I think it's because it's in the universe of that. So we want to go here to filter, and we want to go here to gender equals male. And there we go right there. Just using more of the native options. And then we go here, and we go to summarize. And now we can take the variable, and let's go to mean height equals mean of height. And that should do it right there. So that's a little bit of a better option right there. So the thing is, it's already in the data frame that where it's grabbing the mean function. So you could, create some pretty nice tables right here, especially if you put multiple arguments. Like this is a really good way to use Dplyr. Just people use it for even more advanced things. But you could take the mean of a few variables right here pretty quickly. And, you just want to change these now. What's even better, and I'll show you some really cool stuff in a moment. And the Dplyr course goes through a lot of this right here. I've done the Dplyr course. So now we have the mean of the height, the weight, and the gender. But let's say you wanted to, instead of, you could group by. And we're going to group by instead and just group by gender. And now actually we get a summary table for males and females with their height, their weight, and their GPA. So quickly we go from just filtering to only talking about males to quickly here using the group by. Then you can augment. Augment will change. We can append columns and stuff like that. So augment would allow us to take something and turn it into like a formula format. So kind of knowing what's available is the key right here. Like you just have to know, like Kayla was like filter right there. So you've done a little practicing on Dplyr because if you know you can just filter, and that's the same thing as subsetting. So the piping option is what's good to understand a little bit and how that works. Probably watch this. If I take this right here, the Johnson & Johnson, and I pipe it through into the time series function, we could run it like this. Or I could take the Johnson & Johnson and plot it through like this and take a look. This creates the output. So because of Dplyr, does this make sense what's going on here, Kayla? It's like passing this into this area right here and running it. And then it'll run through multiple things. It'll pass that object on to the next thing as like the input of the next thing. It's like passing through multiple things. And so it's just saying, take this and then use it into here. And it gets a little bit confusing. It's like a reworking of your brain to think about how this whole passing through of objects works. that you're taking survey 10 and you're grouping it by gender, and then that object that's grouped by gender is going to the next phase and turning into a summary. So it's then taking that, it's already split into groups, and then you're just taking, and the group by is super neat because you can just put a second argument right here. I wish the autocomplete's working. Did I attach it? And then just groups by that. Sometimes Dplyr can be pretty nice. It might even look for you inside of your variables. Is it doing that? I might have attached it. Let me see. Is it being super nice? Because that... Do I have survey 10 attached? I usually do. No, I don't have it attached. I think it's super smart right there. Group by GP. No, we can't go that small. Group by desired. It is. This is ridiculous. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's ridiculous. So this is group by desired weight, but I think it is looking through. So it's actually using kind of an attached feature right there to look inside of survey 10 to know that you can now select. Is this also looking? Ooh, that's nice. I forgot Dplyr. I don't know if that's an update to Dplyr or whatever, but it's actually looking through and telling what I'm inside of it. It can actually tell that I'm inside of survey 10, and it can actually look for those variables. So that's a really nice feature right there, especially with the autocomplete and making sure you type things correctly. Like if I want to do, I think it's percent more attractive then. There we go. There you go. And we could change this back to something like gender, which makes more sense to summarize by. So, and we're calling this height. So let's say percent dateable. And yeah, so I think there's just so many cool options with this. And that's the percent. Males find people more percent dateable. Yeah, so awesome stuff right here. Really great practice. A little bit on Dplyr, and definitely doing data camp will get you better at this. I did the Dplyr so long ago that I really need to like redo it probably and get better at the skill sets in there, because it's just very versatile in what it can help you do. Like the idea of this right here just works a lot better. And people might throw some Dplyr into their code, so it helps to understand how this whole piping thing works, that this passes through and you just have the synonymous code, or the same code could be written as this. You might say, well, what's the point? It can make for some really better formatting. That T was not. Your new keyboard, you better be good. I'll throw you out like the last keyboard. Say no new keyboard. There we go. Figure too large for margins. What? We just plotted that. There we go. Awesome stuff. Well, that's got it for today. Any last questions here? Really good practice. Just keep practicing. That's the only way to get better at coding, and keep asking those questions. I think of the piping as a pruning. We start with the entire data set and get it pruned down. And it prunes sometimes, like especially if you filter, that'll prune it down. But it's almost like baking a cake. So sometimes you might like if you get in the process of baking a cake, you're like changing it as you go along, and you're passing it off to the next process where you like bake it in the oven and it becomes something else. So the pipe is the time where you're taking the cake batter and putting it in the oven. And then when this moment right here, like this is the movement from the table to the oven where the cake's getting cooked. Here's the cake getting cooked, and then this code won't work. This is you taking the cake out of the oven and maybe cutting off the edges, making it nice, like shaving off the edges so you get this nice round cake. But that would take place right here where you like cut the cake or something like this. So then you go right here, and then you bring it over to your icing table. Nothing's really happening. It's just in transport right now. So this is the icing of the cake, icing cake right here. So then you bring the cake off the icing table and you put it here on the display table. So this is walking over to the display table, and this is where someone purchases it. So purchase cake. So if you think about this, these are really just the handoffs between each step. Does that make sense? Like if we talk about this like oven right here, oven cake, and then we could say cake batter. Like you take your cake batter, you bring it over to the oven, put it in the oven, it bakes for a while over here. And then you walk it out of the oven, you put it on the table, you cut up the cake. That's like the process going on to the cake right there. You bring I don't know why you're moving it, but you're moving it right now. You go and grab your icing, you're icing up your cake, and then you put it over there on display and someone purchases the cake. So it's just a handoff process really between the next function right here. And I think, yeah. So nothing's really happening on the pipe. It's just like, here you go, do that next thing. And it could be, changing it, augmenting it, grouping it, smaller, larger. The next thing can just do many different things. Great questions, fun stuff here. Now I want some cake. Yeah, so the theory is super important right here. And so great job, everybody. Let's throw out some 50 points. We didn't throw out any points today. What are we doing? What are we doing, everybody? I don't know. With that, 50 points. Mubot, you still awake? Mubot's awake. Mubot's always awake.
I am Mubot.
Sorry, we'll talk to you more, Mubot. With that, we'll be back later. Gonna be talking some 201 here in a little bit. I'll talk to them and I'll see you soon. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.